My wedding was the absolute worst day of my life. You guys will not believe what happens, and yes, it involves my future mother-in-law. Ugh, I can't stand this woman. This is one of the craziest stories I've read in quite some time. Let's get right to it. The unspecial day. They say your wedding day is the best day of your life, but it was not the case for me. Before I start, I'm 29, and before I get to the wedding day itself, I need to familiarize you with the complex family drama. I met my fiancée a year and a half ago at the club. She comes from an upper-class family that is extremely pretentious and snobby. Even though she isn't like that at all, since I'm no Duke or Fortune 500 businessman, our engagement led to many problems with her family. I had to endure looks from aunts, cousins, trying to act tough, and worst of all, a disapproving mother. Her mother was this old-timey lady who wanted everyone to look, eat, speak, and act in a certain way. Sometimes I really thought she was some sort of royal. But it was only because she grew up in a mansion and never had to work a day in her life. After my fiancé's dad passed away, she wanted to go down a different route and started being independent and working for a living. After lots of issues with her family, she decided to get a job and move out of their mansion. When she and I met, I did not even know she came from money much until I met her family. She's extremely down to earth and does not like the lavish lifestyle, which is probably why she fell for me. A simple accountant. Anyways, my first time meeting her family was a disaster and was straight out of a comedy movie. I know they did not like me, but because she was living on her own and did not want their money, my fiancé did not care what they thought, and we barely visited them anyways. However, of course, they needed to come to the wedding. Fast forward to my wedding day. We kept it simple enough with her family, my small family, and some friends. I had to endure all the looks of judgment from every member of her family, and really just wanted to get it over with as quick as possible. I shook hands, took pictures, and we were about to say our vows when her mother stood up and dropped the bomb on the whole wedding. She started yelling about how I was a cheater. Everyone was shocked and gasped, and it was just super confusing. She kept telling everyone that I've been cheating on my fiancé for months and pulled up these random pictures of me and another girl in several locations in a cafe, like on a walk, and I had absolutely no idea what was going on, and just kept denying and telling everyone that this is insane and that they're not real. All of a sudden, the girl from the pictures come out of the crowd, crying, and admitted that I was seeing her. I've literally never seen her in my life and had no idea who that was. Suddenly, my fiancé started crying, asking me how dare I, and ran away. Everyone was chattering and booing, and some were cursing at me. I kept insisting that none of this was true, but just like the people are, they're believing this controversial stuff. I couldn't control the crowd and everyone started leaving, with only my family staying behind. I looked around for the girl, who I was sure was some sort of paid actor, but she was gone. I felt like both crying and shouting at the same time, and I looked everywhere for my fiancé's mom, and of course I could not find her. My family was the only people willing to listen to me, and they knew that she was lying. The next day, I called my fiancée over 50 times and she would not answer. I went to her apartment and did not find her there, so I knew there was only one place she could be: her family's mansion. I drove an hour and a half to get there, expecting absolute hell of a confrontation that I actually wanted. When I got there, one of the staff members opened the door and told me they had hard orders not to let me inside. I kept demanding that I enter and made a quite big scene that ended with me getting literally kicked out by security. I could not believe her family would do this, and I spent hours outside calling her name and trying to do anything, but they were adamant to the point that they were going to call the police. I got the hint and left, but knew that there was more at play. Over the next week, all my attempts at getting in touch with my fiancée or her family failed. So I turned my attention to the other problem at hand, the pictures. I had to find how these pictures came to be, so I went back to the wedding venue and spent a long time there trying to convince them to give me those photos they played on screen. Eventually, after some convincing and maybe a few threats, they gave me the pictures. The pictures were so obviously fake, but they looked incredibly real. I could not even recognize the places in them, and I knew that I've never met this woman or been to those places before. I knew that they were doctored or photoshopped somehow, so I took them to a buddy of mine that's way smarter at this computer stuff than me. He could not believe how amazingly photoshopped they were, but told me that he'll do his best to find out how they did this and what the original pictures were. I was having breakfast the other day at the place my fiancé and I frequented when I suddenly saw her there with another guy. He was dressed in super fancy suit and had a golden Rolex Presidential on his wrist. I knew he must have been one of her family members, but the way he was looking at her and acting around her did not indicate a member of the family. I wanted to go over and talk to her immediately, but I knew she wouldn't listen now. I kept my distance and made sure she could not see me, but I kept observing them. He looked like he was consoling her, and after a few minutes she teared up and he gave her his napkin. He literally looked like the fakest guy ever with a yellow, creepy smile. I just couldn't take it anymore, so I went to their table and tried to explain everything. But as soon as she saw me, she got up to leave, and he went right up to me to quote defend her. I told him this was none of his business and to kept trying to address her, but he got super defensive and tried to grab me, and we both punched each other before I was kicked out by the manager for being the one who went up to him. I felt like everyone in this world was against me, and there was nothing I could do. I had to find out who that guy was. I kept doing a ton of research and trying to find him in her friends or followers, until I finally got a lead on her LinkedIn. Apparently, he was some sort of big shot CEO at some big company. So naturally, he was a family friend. I went through all his socials and found some of her family members in his friends list, and the biggest one was her mother. I never saw that guy before when we were engaged, so he must have just shown up after our failed wedding. I had to dig deeper and deeper since he really wasn't the type my fiancé liked. So I had a theory that he was her mom's pick instead of me, which made a ton of sense. If I wanted to get my fiancé back, I had to follow him around and confirm that he's involved with her mom or family somehow. I found the location of his company and started from there. Every day, I would show up in my car around closing time so I can see him. Sometimes he never showed up, and I guess he did not come every day. One day, though, he left the company and I started following him around. He made a ton of stops at random places that were of no use to me, but I saw him stopping at a restaurant around dinner time. I waited outside for a bit, only to find my fiancé heading straight in. It made my blood boil more and more, but this was a long game and I had to play it. I kept doing this for several days. Sometimes he showed up, but most of the time he didn't. When he did show up, he would either head home immediately or meet my fiancé somewhere. About a week later, though, I saw him stopping at another cafe and my fiancé's mom entered shortly after. I had to know what was going on, so I put on some sunglasses and a baseball cap and I headed inside to pretend I was just a customer. I ordered a coffee and sat at a table next to them, and what I heard next shocked me to the core. I overheard them going over the whole plan about how she wanted to doctor photos and come up with a fake cheating story to push me away. Then the rich guy would get closer to my fiancé and they would get married and both families would join together, making them both even more money. It wasn't just about disapproving of me, but of course it was also about making money. I got the impression that the mom did not care about her daughter at all and only cared about the family image and making more money. The rich guy did not seem to like my fiancé, but just wanted to marry into power. I wish I had proof of any of this, but I was so invested and shocked that I did not record anything, or even a photo of them together. In the end, he told her that he was planning on getting engaged to her in a few days, and that the way they would guarantee the family business. The mom asked him if I was a problem, and he told her that if I continued to stir up trouble, he would, quote, make sure I was sent away. For a moment, I felt scared, but I knew that I could not let this affect me or my plan. I could not let them get away with this. I also knew that if I tried to contact my fiancée and tell her all this, she would never believe me. The next day, I got a call from my computer whiz friend, who told me that he played around with the pictures and he has proof that they were in fact doctored, photoshopped, but they went even further and used deep AI to make the pictures. It paints a person's face over another person and you literally can't tell. He also told me that he had found another girl in the pictures, Instagram page, and that she was in fact an actress for hire. We made a fake account as if we were a casting manager and agreed to meet at a restaurant at night to discuss a job. She didn't even know it was me. And as soon as she arrived and saw me, she tried to turn around, but I discreetly grabbed her arm and threatened that I would ruin her life if she did not tell me everything. She got scared and told me that my fiancé's mom hired her to pretend that she was a girl and I was seeing her and to go to the wedding. She told me that she did not know anything else. I told her that if she does not show up in a couple of days to confess all this, I would instantly call the police and have her arrested. She looked terrified and agreed. Next, I had to find some dirt on this rich guy. I kept following him around for the next 2 days, and the day before his planned engagement to my fiancée, he made a stop at this romantic restaurant one night all dressed up. I went in after him and saw him sitting at a table with a woman and a little kid. I felt like I hit a home run grand slam out the park, and I found out he was married. But I had to make sure. I waited until he entered the bathroom, walked up to his table, and pretended that I wanted to leave a message to her brother. But she told me that he wasn't her brother, and that he was in fact her husband. I couldn't help but crack a smile. So I told her that I needed to talk to her urgently, and that it was serious and only she could know. She was scared at first, but agreed to give me her number. Later that night, I called her and told her everything. It took some convincing, but let me tell ya, she believed me. And turned out that she suspected that he was cheating on her in the first place, and we agreed on something. Now I had a full deck of cards, jokers out, and all them were falling in place. The engagement was the next day. It was hard to sneak in, but I managed to do it. Unlike our wedding, it was on some super fancy venue, and I saw my fiancée and her new suitor about to give a speech. And I instantly jumped out of the crowd and quickly yelled everything that my fiancé's mom and the rich guy did. People were booing me at first until the girl from the wedding came up and said everything. She told everyone how my fiancé's mom hired her and planned this. Everyone gasped and could not believe it. The security was about to kick us both out until I showed the doctored photos and the original ones on screen. Everyone paused and kept staring at my fiancé's mom. This wasn't the last thing, as I had one more trick up my sleeve. The rich guy got furious, and I saw him heading towards me with a clenched fist. So his real wife popped out right in front of him, and he froze solid as an iceberg. She told everyone that he was her husband and they had kids together, and how she did not even know about any of this. He suddenly started stuttering like a pencil grinder, and she finally slapped him hard across the face. Everyone was live streaming on Facebook and Instagram, and they could not get enough. It was truly a moment to record. My fiance's mom tried to deny all this, but it was way too late. Everyone saw her for who she truly was and started screaming at her, cursing and booing her as they did me at my wedding. There was only one thing left. The rich guy admitted to deal between him and my fiance's mom. His wife told him in front of everyone that he did not explain himself. She would tell everyone about August 13th. We had no idea what August 13th was, but it must have been something massive, as he instantly started bumbling and told everyone the deal between him and my fiance's mom, and how it was all just for money. As everyone started yelling at him too, he bailed. I saw him hop in an Uber. Now, I could see my fiance's breaking down in tears. So I went to her and told her that I was faithful and that I did all this to clear my name. She apologized to me and made her way to her mom. Suddenly, we saw my fiancé slap her mother hard across the face and yelled so much at her that her mom broke down crying. Something I never expected to see. Everyone was still recording, and then my fiancé told her that she was ashamed of her as a mother, and that she never wanted to see her again before kicking her out of the venue. Right as the mom was leaving, other members of the family joined in, condemning the mom and told her that she brought shame upon the family name, and they were kicking her out of the family mansion. They also told her that she won't be getting any more money and she can find somewhere else to stay. She told them that she had nowhere else to go, so my fiancé sternly suggested, "How about the streets?" Everyone started laughing at the mom. As she was crying and yelling, her entire family blamed her and kicked her out, and told her they never wanted to see her face again. I did not feel the slightest ounce of guilt, as she got what she deserved for what she did to me. I told her that if she ever came near me or my fiancé again, I'd have her arrested and thrown under the jail for doctoring photos and sue her for defamation for the money she did not have anymore. Everyone cheered like I just hit the game-winning shot as she left, and some even threw some of the party favors and decorations at her as she made her way out in the freezing rain, with no one to take her home in the end. The rich guy's family left, and we turned the engagement back to the wedding. Since we were already dressed up, someone called an ordained priest and we got married that night. Guys, let's just go ahead and start by saying, what a crazy story. If this story is true, it's one of the wildest ones I've read in some time. Unfortunately, I'm getting some red flags. The number one red flag I have, to see if this story's real or not, I think after being traumatized, OP's fiancé or future wife, there's no way she would go and marry some other guy in mere weeks after that. But who knows, I could be wrong. There's way crazier stories out there that are true. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you think this was real or fake? Let's just say if it's real, it needs its own movie. Okay, one final story. It's about a future person that's gonna have an intervention. Alright guys, let's get right to it. Hey, what's up guys? Just a quick interruption. I wanted to announce something that we added to the channel. It's a subscription-based button. You can find it right under the videos next to subscribe. It'll say join. What it is a membership, and you can support the channel with various different options. The higher tier options even allows you to be animated into the end credits of a story. It's crazy the stuff that we're adding, so if you want to support the channel, check it out and by all means, go for it. I hope you guys have a great day and enjoy the stories. What I'm about to share happened about a month ago, and at the time there was nothing funny about it. Now, it cracks me up and makes me cringe whenever I think about it. I'm an 18-year-old male, and I still live with my parents, and Christianity plays a big role in my family. I'm not sure if I believe what they believe, but one thing is for certain. My brother, 25, believed there was only one God: drugs. At some point in his life, getting high was no longer about fun. It was about feeding an addiction. When he started stealing from my family to support his drug habit, that's when my dad called the cops and had him arrested. My dad's plan was not to send my brother to prison. He was just buying time to come up with another solution. He called a family meeting and we brainstormed. Besides praying and hoping that a higher power magically makes my brother stop using drugs, rehab was the next best thing. My dad wanted to literally drag my brother to the nearest rehab center and force him to check in. I suggested that we try an intervention, just like the ones on TV where the loved ones confronted the drug addict, with letters they wrote to show how much they care and hopefully inspire the addict to seek professional help. My family agreed to do the intervention based on my passionate pitch. We wrote our letters and waited until my brother got released from jail the following day. When my brother entered the house, the living room was occupied by family members, church members, and a few of my brother's friends. Even one of his ex-girlfriends. I never expected my parents to basically invite the whole town, but there they all were. My mom explained to my brother what was happening before volunteering to be the first person to read a letter. My brother was not about that life. He told my mom to stop reading and allow him to go upstairs or he was going to get upset and say some stuff he can't take back. My mom kept reading, which prompted my brother to roast the shit out of all of us. He made fun of my mom for being addicted to Botox and always running on the treadmill with her arms straight down. He asked my dad what God thinks about him paying for porn. He accused me of, doing indecent things to a guy and literally pointed to the person who owned that thing. Well, my brother was right about that. He advised my uncle to lose 200 pounds before trying to save anyone else's life. And he said his ex-girlfriend's belly button looked like a butthole, which was the reason he broke up with her. It went on and on until an argument broke out between my brother and everyone else. If my brother was not the tallest person in the room, my guess is someone would have punched him in the face. Luckily, it did not go that far. My brother eventually went upstairs and did not come down until there was no one left but my parents and I. It was awkward between all of us. My dad and I were unable to look at each other for the rest of the week. And what made it even worse was the fact that neither of us denied what my brother said about us. It was never mentioned again. Since then, my brother agrees to go to rehab. He's been clean for 22 days and it seems like he's doing better. My mom stopped using the treadmill and is now running in the park early in the mornings. Then none of us are awake to see if she actually is moving her arms or not. It's still unclear if dad pays for porn. Who knows? I'm dating a girl and she knows I've done a few things. I can't provide updates for the rest of the people my brother insulted. I think they're all done with drama in my family because I don't see much of them anymore. Alright guys, in an all serious matter, I'm very happy that the brother is going to get rehab because drugs are not cool. They lead to some very bad things and I'm just glad that this guy's getting his life turned around. But on the brighter side, it was kind of hilarious how he roasted everybody. I'm not gonna lie, I chuckled a little when he mentioned his dad's, pornography. Guys, let me know what you think about that story. Drop your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll catch you in the next one.